Welcome to Mindfully Gay, your space for deep reflection and honest conversation. I'm John Cottrell, joined by the insightful Nick Walton and the ever-thoughtful Jerry Buie.
In this episode, we start with a simple yet profound question that sparks a dynamic and heartfelt discussion.
We delve into the theme of taking risks and the journey of discovering our true essence as gay men. It's about the courage to be ourselves in a world that often tells us otherwise.
Expect a roller coaster of emotions as we share our personal stories, struggles, and triumphs in embracing our authentic selves.
Join us as we navigate these waters, offering our perspectives and maybe, just maybe, finding some answers along the way.
So sit back, open your heart, and let's embark on this journey together. This is Mindfully Gay.
All right, so I think we decided for today's podcast that we're at least going to start with these random questions that we're going to ask each other because we figure if people are going to listen to us, they might want to know something about us, right?
Who are these guys?
Yeah. What are their issues? So being they're my cards, I'll pick first.
Oh, okay.
Who am I picking for?
I'll answer.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm scared now. Okay.
What's your favorite sexual No. What?
Oh, I know this one. I know the answer. I'll answer for him. I know.
What risk are you happy that you took?
Oh, what risk am I happy that I took? Actually, well, I can answer that a different way. I wish there was some risks that I did take, but I didn't take. But what risk
Did you take?
did I take?
I can think of one.
For me?
Yes.
Really?
First trip to Peru. What happened?
Yeah. I'm going to go with that because at the time, so this was, what year was this? 2007, something like
100
that.
years ago.
So I was working at this health and fitness club. Wonderful job, but it was very corporate, and I felt literally trapped in a box because it was a 24-hour facility, and because I was managing, I had to be there at the crack of dawn, and I was there till late at night in this building the entire time. And the thing is, you could be in that building the entire time because they had a restaurant and everything was there. You never had to leave. And so I'm running my little business, this yoga business in this club. So I was stuck there. So I did that for a year and a half, 2 years. But I was really feeling stuck. And feeling, but not really knowing exactly what was going on and why I was feeling stuck. But what I realized afterward, but I was feeling like I couldn't reach my fullest potential. Like I was missing something in my life because I was stuck in this box. And this trip came up, and it was our first trip to Peru, and decided to go. Never been there before, didn't really know what to expect, and kind of fast forward, it was such a transformational experience for me. It allowed me, we did this journey and this hike, and the hike and the medicinal experience that we had led us to this mountain peak in this plateau. I'm just kind of looking across this valley, right? And everything just came clear that I knew exactly what I needed to do. I knew exactly what I wanted to do and how I was going to break free from this box. And it was interesting because I was kind of stepped back from this ledge, and I could see across the valley. It was a clear day, beautiful, seeing across the valley, seeing the mountains. And so I can see out there. And I saw that as I can see my path. I can see where...
Which you were prevented from because you were in a box before.
Exactly.
You couldn't literally see out.
That's exactly it. And then the special part of it, and I think almost the risk-taking part of this too, was I decided to step closer to the edge, right? And by stepping closer to the edge, taking this risk, not only did I see out in front of me across the valley with clarity, but also down below me. And it just brought more depth to this experience. And so the risk I took was decided in that moment I was going to quit my job. And we got off of that mountain back to our hotel room. I start writing this whole business plan of what I was going to do next. And when I got home, that's exactly what I did. Quit my job, started a new business.
Wow.
And became Embody.
I remember sitting at the shore of Lake Titicaca, and you were talking about what you're going to do. And I was just like, John, maybe you should go home and think about this. And he's like, nope.
But can I clarify? This was also your first trip to Peru. This is when the trip
this
started.
wasn't my first trip,
I
but
thought
it's
you
the
had
first
been
trip that I
different.
organized.
He went. Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Right. But you're right. As far as stuck in a box, you can't see. I couldn't see anything besides what was in this box.
And how can you possibly dream or think about what's in the future if you can't see outside of what you're trapped in right now? Yeah.
So here was this wonderful opportunity. It was so life-changing on so many levels that, I saw that great clarity. And what was a piece of that was, it was certainly unexpected. I wasn't expecting this life-changing thing. It was a fun trip. It was a great trip, but this happened. And it happened to, be this good risk. It's funny because now that when I look at it now, it doesn't feel like a risk. It just feels like that was supposed to happen.
Well, and I remember that job was sucking the life out of you.
Yeah.
Like you just were not happy there.
Yeah. So
And I remember having that conversation thinking, oh, he's going to be one of those people that go on a trip and quits everything, and then we're going to have to feed him. No.
Yeah, there was this worry from my my dear friends. They were looking after me. So I mean to kind of carry it forward, and as you watched me from the sidelines, what did you see happen?
There in Peru?
Well, no,
or just afterwards.
After you just made the decision.
Oh, just kept stepping into this further and further, and I probably tell your story about 14 times a year as I planned the trip. I say, this can be very transformative if you open your mind and your spirit to the possibility.
But that's the key, though, right? It's not, you didn't approach it with expectation, but you did approach it with an openness. See, because it does. I mean, I love stories like that. I know that they're real, and I know that they happen to people. I feel like they haven't maybe to me yet, but I think the thing that I like to keep in mind is that it's something I was always taught in the beginning as a young gay when it came to finding a boyfriend. And it's always that if you're out there looking for one, you're not going to find it. But it's when you're not looking and you're not expect that you're going to make a connection. Like, it was just always explained to me that way. And I hear something similar in that, I think we all can identify with being trapped in a box and not being able to see the light of day or feel the real air on our face or whatever it may be, figuratively or literally or both, all of it.
Right.
But at the same time, if you can just hold on to the potential, the possibility of being open to change, it can happen. It can come to you.
Mm-hmm.
That's at least can give people hope in situations like that, as opposed to just not being open to it, being very depressed and just getting into a very dark place with existence.
Mm-hmm.
Well, whenever we organize retreats, or definitely Peru, or any kind of ceremonial work that we're a part of, like I have this big circle coming up in January, and I sit and I interview each person. And part of that is to talk to them about the process, but the other part of it is to really start to awaken people around the hooks that are keeping them attached to old stories.
Right.
Because what I know about ceremony and ritual, whatever that is, that if you go into it with intent, I always tell people have really clear intent, and then when you step into the process, just let it go and see what shows up for you. And it's pretty remarkable when people are uninhibited how they can see themselves.
Yeah.
And then the work of integration happens. Like, how do I take that piece of guidance, which I think of it as some kind of divine guidance or wisdom? How do I take it and actualize it? And you started actualizing it on the plane going home as you were strategizing your plan. And sometimes, I had something like that happen to me when I had a brother that passed away But I remember sitting on the plane thinking, okay, I need to start strategizing. Perhaps I've taken life too seriously here, or I haven't taken it serious enough. And so I was like, started putting some mechanisms in place in my life. Um, so, we're all kind of constantly in a state of this. I mean, that's kind of, but it's always hard work too. I would say it's hard work.
Right. It's not the type. It's constant. It's not that it's a grind. It's just that it's always there to be done, and it's not about finding a place where the work no longer needs to be done. It's that there's just an ever evolving kind of process of growth and change and outward looking that keeps you moving in this happy linear space. But it's funny you should bring up intent, because I was just thinking about this today. I have this is my second lodge. I feel so accomplished that I have 2 lodges, but I realize the individuals next to me have many more. And I have this young gay boyfriend that's coming into town mid-December, and I thought, oh, how great it would be if a lodge were to happen. I know there's been so many going on, but if yet another lodge would happen, and how I would introduce it to him. And I'm having this conversation. This just happened this morning even, because I definitely learned from my second lodge that if one does not approach it with clear intent or the reverence that is necessary, or respect, and it's not respect because I do have respect, but I think maybe I wasn't as reverent and focused with my intent. Lodge will have her way with you, and that definitely happened with me. And so I'm having this conversation in my mind with him. He's 20 something. He's been in a throuple out in Florida for some time, and now that's over. And he's coming home to visit. He's from here. And I'm trying to think about, I want to make sure he understands the importance of the intent, but I also don't want to frighten him, about going in if you don't have it right, because it's a very intense experience. It's a very intense experience walking to the edge. Me hearing you relate this story, I get a little anxious about it, because I kind of feel similar in the way, like I know that I'm in a place right now of purpose that I could be in a much greater place, but I'm hooked. I am definitely hooked in and hooked down by some things that I'm trying to identify and get myself to walk to the ledge and to look down and up and around and everything. But so when it comes to this young guy and trying to give the conversation about bringing him into lodge, yeah, the issue of intent and approach is just. It's still one that I guess I'm kind of struggling with, so maybe I'm not the one to teach him, but I can definitely understand, being open to, it's the openness to the opportunity more than it is having a specific goal, maybe, with how you approach it.
It really just gets me thinking, is that something that can be taught or told? I mean, we speak about have an intention, because I say it in yoga, we'll set our intention. If you're just saying it to like this young person, what does that mean to them to set an intention and to have intent, and what does that look like? How do you define that? What is to get a person to have this potential great experience going into a lodge or going to Peru or doing medicine work or whatever. We say set an intention. What does that mean?
Yeah, it's very personal,
Describe what you're saying without using the word intention.
Probably easily just, what do you want?
Yeah. What's your target?
What do you want?
Yeah. Why does it have to get messier than that?
Yeah.
In this moment, I'm just thinking, if I were sitting, and when we talk about lodge, we're talking about a sweat lodge, a Native American ceremony where we're working with hot rocks, so you're under some physical duress as well as you're focused on prayers and what you want, right? Think about the barriers of just accessing what we want, right? We are, there's a lot of dogma out there that says it's not polite to want too much.
Yeah.
Right.
And I
Yes,
have to say, and I'm
that's
sorry to, and I have to say this because this is what came up when I was thinking about having this conversation with him. And it was a question I had for you because it's an understanding that I have now from my two lodges, and I don't remember who brought it up, but it is exactly what you're saying. It's that you're allowed to want those things. You're in this
okay.
practice.
Mhm.
You're allowed to demand those things even. And that's not something I've ever, in terms of spirituality maybe, and being open to what could, I've never ever thought that I can demand this of this process. I can have a very clear, not just expectation, but I guess expectation of delivery of what it is that I want from this process. And I guess when my limited understanding of how to approach spirituality has just never included that. I just always thought I'm not enough or I'm not right to demand from the situation.
I think in those contexts, at least from my experience in kind of spiritual upbringing and Catholicism for me, you could ask for something, but there was a condition.
Yeah.
You have to be good.
Yeah.
John,
yeah.
that's exactly where I'm coming from too
Yeah.
with Mormonism. That's what it is for me too. It's
Yeah.
that you can act, but there's so many rules and conditions, and are you really worthy? And you're not because you sinned yesterday. Like, so, okay, so
You
maybe
have
that's
to be
where
worthy.
it's at. Yeah.
You have to be moral.
Yeah.
You have to be obedient.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
Right.
Right.
And that is the facade that's been set up, if you will, to keep us from accessing power, from keeping us from accessing potential. And here's how I like to think about it. And my work with Melodoma Somé really brought this into focus. All the traditions I've worked with, there's some kind of ancestral connection, some reference to grandma and grandma who passed on. But Melodoma would take it further. In fact, it's even how he justified bringing his medicine to the West, if you will, is because, we all come from indigenous roots and shamanic roots, and we all come from like the same place, right?
Right.
And he would say that we're going to sit here and honor our ancestors, and we're going to honor all of the ancestors on your mother's side of your family from now to the beginning of time.
Wow.
And we're going to honor the ancestors on your father's side from now to the beginning of time. Now, I've done some genealogical research on one side of my family. I'm about 12 generations back.
Wow.
And there are hundreds of people
Yeah.
on this.
Right.
And I find in these ways, I often think about, like, I wonder what seeds am I planting today for those generations that come
Hundreds
after
from
me.
now. Yeah.
As I keep thinking, I better write a book so I can tell my story. So think about this, and somewhere I've got this calculation that literally there's thousands of ancestors before your existence. You literally have a community of those who sit on the other side who are just waiting to be acknowledged by you. And part of their work on that side is to advocate and to facilitate in your behalf.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And not all of them have great histories. And Melodoma would address that, and he'd say, those are the ones who are going to work the hardest for you because they really screwed up. And so think about how that paradigm, whether you believe it or not, the paradigm of you are supported and loved for just existing as you are.
Yeah.
And we're sitting here on your side,
Yeah.
supporting your best interest. And all you have to do is just let us know that you see us, that you acknowledge us.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, what a much more conflict-free way to grow up, I would think, as opposed to the doctrines that we had,
Don't touch, don't tell.
Exactly. That you have access to this wisdom and this support and love. Yeah, that's just never been anything that has been explained to me or I ever thought that I could have.
It's how Clyde had Clyde, who's one of our native elders, would say literally when you're in that state of acknowledgement, that it's literally like just kind of reaching out and say, bring it. Just bring it here. When I sit in the lodge, people can't see it. But when I'm calling them in, I'm just like, come. Like open heart, open hands. Like, you are invited here because and there are times where there might be 10 people in the lodge, but it feels like there's 30 in there. And there's been times when people have been singing, and I think, how is the song so strong when only 4 of us know it? Right? And there are times where I feel the substance of that support. And I think there's time, like when you were in Peru, and you tapped into that, and they're like, well, about time
we've been waiting. Yeah. That's the sense that I get now. I mean, just the way you just said, I just got chills the way you said that, because I just had this visual of like this council, or just this, you know, I'm in a hall or a room or something, and these chairs are set up, and all of my ancestors are there, just, you know, just waiting
with their experience,
their lives that they had, and they're just waiting on you. They're, you know, and you've got your back to them, and all they're saying is, just turn around,
just ask us,
just ask. We're here. And to have that kind of access and opportunity to move and grow and take risks. The risks wouldn't feel like risks, because you would feel so supported knowing that you've got this council of ancestry on your behalf, just to hold you and guide you, because that's what they want to do.
Well, and there's 2 things I want to expand on. One, think about this as gay folks, gay, lesbian, bi, trans. We were just talking before we turned on the camera about how early Romans, sexuality, sensuality was such a different kind of concept in a medicine, and think about the people in our LGBTQ history who put so much out there, and I believe they're still there. I think they're still out. I think about Harry Hayes, and I think about the work we're trying to do with Queer Spirit, and what we're trying to do with the Radical Fairies, and these other mindfulness groups. That their voice, the vibration that they put out when they existed, right, is echoing in us, because we're sitting here,
right,
and we're inviting others to come to the table. And that's why I think those ancestor altars that we do at the retreats are so important, is they need to be in our consciousness.
It allows them to work through us.
Yeah.
I'm getting some good portraits done, because when I'm on the altar, girl, I'm gonna look good. I want to.
Right.
I'm gonna.
Your glamour shots.
Not the ones we take at the gym.
Not a selfie. No.
Definitely a selfie.
But those mirrors with the lights,
that
they work so well.
Great lighting.
I had this experience. I was in Costa Rica. I was doing an ayahuasca journey, and I was really deep into the process. And I literally had this council of ancestors show up.
Wow.
And Bear Boy was there, and a couple of others who had passed over. And then I recognized that there were like some Italians there, and some of the Scottish ancestors. Like, I didn't know everyone, but there was certainly a council there. And there was a question was posed to me, and that is, what have you done with what we gave you?
Ooh. Wow.
What have you done with what we've given you? And it wasn't just, what have you done with like the medicine pieces we've given you? But I have breath, I have a body.
Yeah.
I have a life.
For sure.
Right.
And it was this moment of accountability.
No, that's just it. It's not that they're just available to you, but they have expectation. There is an accountability. That's an exciting part. That even drives a sense of purpose of people that are struggling with it. It definitely gives more confidence in approaching things and knowing that you have this fleet of people supporting you and expecting you to make the changes, expecting you to take the risk. I love that
and
mindset.
holding that, not in that place of judgment. It wasn't like a bishop's interview.
Right. Temple recommends.
Yeah,
Shit.
it was
Like, what have you done? Right.
It's like you know, we've given you some stuff. We're just curious what you've done with it. And Melodoma would have taught. He literally believed that there would be an accounting, and that if you didn't really make use of it, you have to come back and do it over.
But to be able to approach anything, your wildest dreams and desires, if it's just a fleeting thought, and you thought, oh, that could never happen.
Yeah.
While you're, and your answers are going, wait, don't throw that, don't toss that aside.
They expect it.
Yeah, you can do that.
Yeah.
We got you.
Yeah.
You want to do that?
Right.
Yeah.
Bring it. Just what's your ask? That's what I picture them doing. While we're just going, I don't know.
I'm
I
so
don't
bored.
know. And they're just waiting. Oh, wow.
All right. Well, thanks for sharing your card, John.
In part 1 of this second episode of Mindfully Gay, you got to hear a bit about the risk I took in my life. The conversation guided us deep into discovery about the ancestral counsel that is there to guide us in our lives. But that isn't the whole dialogue. Listen to the next episode, part 2 of this in-depth conversation. Listen to Nick and Jerry share how they have taken risks in their own lives. If you've enjoyed our conversation today, don't forget to subscribe to Mindfully Gay for more episodes. Share this podcast with friends and loved ones, and join us in spreading a message of courage, love, and authenticity.